Well, welcome back to the very last episode of Briggs and Co. of 2024. I'm so grateful that Mark Samuels joined me for this rich and inspiring conversation. We dove into his background growing up in some of the sketchier areas of Toronto and how that really helped develop him into the human being that he is. We also got into how he got into dance. It is such a cool story, and honestly, I had no idea. So, without giving anything away, you'll have to listen. And then really chatted about some important topics, such as networking and the power that that has. He networked without even really realizing it when he was younger, with some of the core people that ended up being his sort of circle, if you will, for the rest of his career in dance. And then we also got into the topic of compensation and pay as you start off as an entertainer, and sort of like when you know to say no versus when you agree. And it is really such a personal choice. But there's also some resources like dancersalliance.org that he suggests as well. So anyways, there's lots of good stuff in here, as well as some just funny, fun, lighthearted conversations. So I hope you enjoy this next episode of Briggs and Co. Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Hey, can you hear me, Briggs?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Good. I don't wonder why my camera's not working. Hold on.
It's okay.
There we go.
There it is.
What's
Hi,
up?
Mark.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm like just got home from for the holidays from Florida, so
Hmm.
I'm like sniffles, skin is
Oh,
like dry
no.
because like it's in Alberta and
Yeah.
my body's not climatized to this at all.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, that's crazy. How is Florida?
it's good.
Yeah.
It's just like I've been in Florida a number of times, but only in August, September, October. And so now being in Florida in December, it is nice because they do still get a little bit cooler in the mornings and at night.
Hmm.
I will say though, like the humidity is next level, like
Oh, I
next
know.
level.
I know. What part of Florida were you in?
Just Miami.
Oh, Miami.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I've been a bunch of times to Miami, and yeah, it's like a microwave there.
It honestly is.
But I love it. I mean, you know, like even though it's humid, you find a way to cope with it and
Oh
deal with
yeah,
it. But it's
absolutely. You go
like
to the beach and you're like, oh, it's okay. I'll deal with it.
you're like, yeah, I'll deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you?
That's awesome. Um, I'm good. It's cold. You know what? So the weather here, we had a really long summer.
Yeah.
And then it dipped into fall, but it was still really warm. And then one weekend just boom, switched right
Oh,
into winter mode. And now it's like, I mean, it's nothing compared to Alberta, but we got snow this weekend. We got up to like our lows were like minus 18,
oh, that's
which
significant.
yeah, which is big
Yeah.
for Toronto. So we got this like it was just a weekend though. It was just a weekend. It just
Okay.
got like super duper cold. I don't
Yeah.
know, some kind of cold front came in and everybody was freaking out because it was so cold here. Um, but
It's added.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean, it's so funny. When I was growing up, it was that cold. Like I remember it
Yeah.
being colder or around that temperature. But for some reason, everyone just got super, like, oh my God, like we got to stay in. We're gonna freeze.
Well,
So it
when the
got this
cities aren't
ridiculous.
equipped, like I remember when I was living in Vancouver and it was downpour rain, which you get used to that, but then
Hmm.
when it was downpour snow, the city wasn't used to that. And so
It
then,
shut down. Hmm.
it shuts down.
Hmm. Yep.
So it is just what you're used to and your body and, acclimatizing, getting used to everything. But am I finding you at like Christmas break right now, or are you still working?
No, I'm pretty wind down to
Okay.
like Christmas, I'm doing like I edit on the side, so I've
Yeah.
just been catching up with some projects of my own, just editing
Yeah.
wise.
Nice.
But in yeah, but in terms of like work, yeah, everything is pretty much like, yeah, winding down. You know how it is. It's
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
holiday season. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I imagine like still during the holidays, like I'll do just little things like editing. Like I probably won't be traveling anywhere, won't be teaching anywhere,
Yeah.
won't be doing anything fabulous,
Yeah. Yeah.
but just like at home chilling for the most
Nice.
part. But a little bit of work here and there.
Here and there.
But for the most part, it'll just be family
Good.
and the
That's good.
holidays.
I like to hear that. I think we
Yeah,
we
me
definitely
too.
need that, you know.
Yeah.
So Mark, I'm always on record just to let guests know. But if there's any point that you feel like, hey, can we edit that out? Happy to do so.
Okay.
First and foremost, thank you for coming on. I'm super
You're welcome.
stoked to have you and like just hear a little bit about background, current work, random chat here and there. There is really
Absolutely.
no like linear path that I take with each guest. It's very free. So I'm excited to get chatting with you.
Mhm.
This is the last
Likewise.
episode of 2024, which I'm super stoked about as well.
Woo
Um, and so yeah, today I know I find you sort of in the mix of a couple things that you've just kind of come out at the end of doing, but you also might be starting some new things. So I'm excited to talk to you about all of that stuff. But before diving into the current projects, I'd love to just invite you to share with listeners, your who you are, but also just like background to the human being that you are, as well as the performer. So where you came from, what your recreational activities were, all of that stuff, so that we can understand the human first, and then understand how you got to the points that you are.
Okay. Yeah, you got it. Wow. So my name is Mark Samuels. I am from Toronto, Ontario. I grew up in a neighborhood called Jane and Finch. And Jane and Finch, if you Google it, it's probably one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in Canada. So I live in the hood.
Mm,
It's pretty bad out here. It's gotten a lot better, mind you, over the years. But yeah, I come from a pretty high crime neighborhood.
mm,
And I'm kind of just grateful that I came out of it, in a positive way. And a lot of actually there are a
mm.
couple of other people from my neighborhood that you might know. Luther Brown, who's a big choreographer,
Yeah.
he is also from Jane and Finch. Julie Black, a big Canadian
Oh.
singer, is also from my neighbor. We actually went to school together, all of us. So yeah, I come from a pretty tough neighborhood, but I think going through that, and being in a neighborhood like this kind of helped me to realize how badly I wanted to get out, and
Ooh.
you know what I mean? What
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just didn't, yeah, what I didn't want to be surrounded by. Um, when I was younger, I used to play sports
yeah.
a little bit. I was a little bit of a sports guy. I played street hockey for a little bit. I played volleyball in high school. I did like 1 year of basketball in like high school as well. Um, and that's pretty much like in terms of activities
Yeah.
and stuff like that. That's pretty much I would say what I would do. Um,
And school,
out
was that something that was something you were really passionate about, or were you like, oh, I have to do this, like I have to go to school? Or were you like, oh, I'm interested and want to further, something post-secondary or whatever it was?
No, I hated school.
Yeah.
I hated it. I was in like I knew from a young age, probably when I was about 13, I knew that I wanted to be in dance or in the arts in some way, form or fashion.
Yeah.
I I didn't I wasn't a guy that wanted to be, in class learning about stuff that I knew in my heart I wouldn't have an interest in.
Hmm.
Although, it was good to learn and know
Yeah.
and have that foundation and knowledge, but I was never really interested in like, the typical
Yeah.
subjects in school,
Sort of social math, science.
Yeah.
I wanna just quickly chime in here, because do you find yourself reflecting ever now, being older, going like, I wish I personally anyways, wish that I could go back to school because I'm such a like sponge now and so curious now. It's almost like, damn, I wish that that education was offered for even the simple courses, like even like the basic,
Yeah,
like, grade 3, 4, 5, like the simple math, the simple, like the basic stuff. I'm like, let's
yeah,
do
yeah,
that now because I'm like ready
yeah,
now. Okay. I wasn't
yeah,
ready
yeah.
back then.
Hundred
No?
percent. Like and it's so funny. Out of all of the subjects back then, I felt like I was like pretty decent and good in like English and
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
history.
Yeah.
English and history, I felt like I excelled a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
or I felt you know what? I'd say I felt comfortable. Math,
Yeah.
I sucked
Yeah.
absolutely horrible in math.
I
I
hear you.
just and I still am to this
Yeah.
day. And so now I'm like, if I could go back
Yeah.
now with the knowledge I have now, then I would pay more
I
attention and
know,
I'd
I know.
probably be a little
Give me
bit better.
another shot, okay? Give me another shot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
yeah,
I
yeah.
really wish I did. But you know
Yeah.
what though? You know what I do wish, and I really hope that education sort of takes a turn and starts implementing stuff like this. But I wish we learnt about more life relating practical things. Like I want to learn about loans. I would
Mm,
love to learn about RSPs,
yep,
mutual funds, investments,
yep.
you know,
Life
banking.
the basic fundamental things
Yeah,
about being an
yeah,
adult once you get out of the educational system.
100%. Owning a house, a mortgage, rent. Like none of that stuff is taught to you in school.
But I will
So,
say, without going down this path and getting too, like, negative on it, I think that's strategically done,
mm,
and I don't wanna look at it glass half or glass half empty, but if you know too much, then they can't mess with you. They
right.
can't, take advantage in areas. And I don't want to say that I'm very optimistic that maybe that's not actually the truth. And listeners, if beg to differ, please, but I do think because like it's almost like okay, learn the hard way, make a mistake, get sucked into debt, whatever it is, and then
Mhm.
they're benefiting from the interest. They're benefiting from your naivety. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Ish.
100%.
I don't know. But I do agree with you. It's like the basic stuff. How do you even shop around for a house? What is a variable versus a fixed
Ooh.
interest rate? Like what are
Wow.
like just like general concepts. And I'm
Yeah,
not I'm not asking you to get into the nitty-gritty, but just like, hey, heads up. These are some like
yeah.
life skills that you might want
Life,
to know.
yeah, yeah. And it's just I really wish I totally feel you, like there could be some conspiracy theory around
I
why
know.
why the education system is the way it is to keep you in a certain place.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
totally
So
hear you and I we I probably watch way too many YouTube videos on
no,
stuff like
me too.
that. um
Um, but yeah, no, I think that that is such a good point, and I've always thought the same thing as you, Mark. So it's funny you
mhm.
say that. So then, to kind of come back into it, were you ever in a position then where you felt like you needed to decide between school and dance, or were you so just driven and motivated to pursue the arts that throughout the educational system you were just kind of like, get me out of here, get me graduated so that I can just pursue this professionally? Like, what did that look like for you?
Well, I can tell you when I first sort of like discovered that dance was for me and when
Hmm.
I fell in love with it. And after I fell in love with it and started doing it more, that's when I was like, okay, I really need to get out of school and just pursue this. But as I said, when I was 13 years old, um, I was about, I had a friend of mine, two friends of mine, and we wanted to do our high school talent show.
Yeah.
I have no idea why we wanted to do it, but we just thought, you know what? Let's just try. Let's just see. Just have fun and just try
Yeah.
it. And there's this hip hop group. They're rappers. They're called Kid and Play,
Okay.
and they actually have a movie, two movies called House Party,
Mm.
and this is like House Party was probably the biggest hip hop dance movie in that era, in like the late
Yeah.
80s.
Yeah.
Um, you would kind of equate it to like, or compare it to You Got Served,
Right.
you
Okay.
know?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, or like Step Up.
Yeah.
So this is like
It's
the
yeah.
dance,
It's the
yeah,
one. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, this is like the dance movies back then. Anyway, Kid and Play. I watched House Party. My friend watched House Party. We loved it, and we're like, let's do what they do in House Party, and we'll do that for the talent show. So they have this song called Fun House,
Yeah.
and we watched the music video for Fun House and like tried to do the moves from it, like copy the moves from it. But because it's a music video, there are other
Uh,
scenes in the
yeah.
music
Yeah. Yeah.
video.
Cut shoes, different camera
Yeah,
angles. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
different camera angles and close-ups of the rappers and close-ups of whatever. So we had to fill in the blanks of that
Come on,
stuff.
choreo, forced
Yeah, we
choreo.
had to kind of like make up stuff and watch other stuff and try to like, jigsaw puzzle this thing of choreo for this Funhouse song. Anyway, fast forward, we do it, we go on stage, we're nervous as heck. We start performing, it is absolute crickets. It's so quiet. It's so awkward. I feel awkward. My friend feels awkward. I'm like, oh my God, what are we doing? And right at the end, right towards the end, we do this like barrel roll. Um, and we actually do this barrel roll, this barrel roll together. It's hard to explain, but like if you if try and picture this.
Yeah.
So you're you're laying down, pretend you're laying down on the
Yeah.
ground, right?
Yeah.
And you put your legs up and your partner is standing where your head is at,
Yeah.
and he grabs your legs, or she, and jumps and does a roll. And then because you're holding the person's legs, they roll. And it's like we roll one one person after the other. This is hilarious. So that's it's hard to it's really hard to explain.
Oh, you've explained it very well.
Really? Okay. But it was the silliest thing. Anyway, so we get ready to do this roll. We do the roll. The place erupts, like goes bananas. We're like, what is going on? So yeah, they just went crazy. And so we get off the stage. I'm just feeling like this rush of like,
Utterly confused
yeah,
as to
so
what just
confused.
happened.
Yeah, because it was so quiet the entire time. And then when we get to this roll, the place went nuts. So we do the roll. I mean, we finished and that was it. It was a talent show, so there was no prizes or there was no first place, second place. It was just like a showcase. But
Was that the
here's
first
the
time you felt something that you'd never like really felt before?
yes, and
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
I was just about to get
Yeah.
to. The feeling that I got when we got off stage, I had never felt in my life ever. The joy, the happiness, the feeling of completing something and it coming out successful in a way, just that euphoric high of the audience. And like I was a nerdy kid in school,
Yeah.
and I'm talking like button up shirt, like
Yeah,
tucked
yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah,
pants. Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
was a
yeah.
nerd.
Yeah.
So to get that response from me was it was life changing. I'd
Mm.
never felt, you know, such such joy in that moment. And the next day I came back to school and there was like in every school there's like a cool
Oh,
kids corner where all the cool kids
yeah, yeah,
hang
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
And I'd never spoken to them ever. I went and they're like, "Oh, yo, Mark, come here. You killed it yesterday. Da, 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 da. That was so sick. Come hang with us." Like, and literally, it was like it was like a movie. Like, I turned into the kid that
You're
hung out
in.
with the cool kids. Yeah,
You're
and then
in.
like, yeah, and then it was like girls would start to notice me and look at me, and I'm like, "What's going on here?" So it was like I turned into like this cool kid, and the
Yeah.
feeling just felt so good. I felt accepted. I felt
Right.
liked. I felt like I was being seen.
Yeah. And
And
there's starting to be in a form of an identity
mm,
and community, and I feel like when you find that sort of feeling in life, whether it be a performer, whether it be even if you're a scientist and you're a part of this like
Mhm.
creation and you've, gone through an experiment and all this stuff, like whether it doesn't really matter what the actual specific role is, but you can always find those feelings if you are in the right position. I truly feel that, like I truly do.
Yeah.
My couple of my friends are in nursing, and the way that they feel after seeing, babies born or recovery of, and a sick mom, and it's just like the feelings that you get, it's that it really is the reason why you do whatever you do in life. And I think that it's possible to find those feelings not every day, like not every day, not
Mhm.
in every, second of your life, but if you can find them in your roles, in your jobs, and even in life in general, like hang on to those and go like, oh, that was something, and
Mhm.
it doesn't always happen only when you're 13, 14 years old. It can still happen all the way up until, your old age. So it's just, I think that that is such a really important point that you've kind of made, and it's been a long time since I really thought about the moments in my life that's given me
Mm.
that, because I as a performer myself experienced those,
Mhm.
and I think it does go like, well, no shit, like no shit. That's why I want to dance, because that I just felt the feeling that I just got is unexplainable. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And you don't want to feel anything else but that again. You know what I mean? You want to
no,
continue feeling that way as much as possible.
it's so
And
true. It's
yeah,
so true. Wow, I'm almost
yeah.
doing like a little bit of a, backlog of all the, because you go through a lot of like, again, you go through a lot of shit when you're a performer,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of scenarios where you're like, how did I get into this position? Like what, like this isn't fun, this isn't sweet, but I'm gonna still grind, I'm gonna push through, and then those feelings happen, and you're like, yeah, that's why. Okay, yep, I just needed a
Yeah,
little bit of that, a reminder again, and I'm back in it.
that's it.
Um, so, anyways, I know I went off a little on a tangent there, but I think I
No, that's okay.
appreciate you sharing that. Um,
You're welcome.
so then kind of going from that, did it just kind of spiral? What did it look like into your, high school years and early like 20s?
Um, so I would say after that discovery of like, this is what I want to do. I want to continue feeling like this. I love this feeling of performing. Um, that literally that same year we did like a community talent show. And I was like, you know what? Let's try it again. Let's just see if this is really
Barrel roll, but I don't even know, like, I'm just
redefined.
like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like barrel roll part two. Let's try it. And funny enough, we did it, and we won. It was a competition.
No
We
way.
won a trophy, like a big trophy. And that to me was another sign and another reason
Yeah,
to be like, okay, there's something here.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? There's
yeah.
something in this dance art form that just keeps pulling me towards it, and something amazing is coming out of it. So fast forward, we get to the end of high school. Luther Brown is in my high school. We meet each other.
Mm,
um, and Luther at the time wasn't a choreographer. He
okay.
was kind of like an agent, to
Mm,
be honest with you. He was almost like a manager in the sense of like he would kind of organize all of these dance groups
cool.
in the school, and he would say, okay, you four girls, you're going to perform with this, at this event, and you two guys are going to perform at this show. And he kind of just delegated where he would
Okay.
get his performers to perform. So he never really choreographed.
Yeah.
But I met him, and we clicked on that level because he got us to perform in different parts of the city. And then he went to school in Windsor University.
Okay.
So we finished high school. He went to Windsor University, stayed there for like a couple years, and was like, okay, I want to do the same sort of thing in Windsor. um, how can I continue doing it?
Yeah.
And so he was like, well, I I don't choreograph, but I'm gonna have to make up steps
Mhm.
to give to these dancers that I'm gonna try to find in Windsor. So he had to do the same sort of thing, like find a way to create these
Figure it
steps. And
out.
so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and we would get inspired by watching music videos. So he would watch like a Mary J. Blige music video or TLC music video and put the moves together, try to make up his own stuff in between. And he started realizing, I guess I'm choreographing. I guess this is. He didn't even call himself a
Right.
choreographer.
Didn't
He
even
was
know what
just
it was
like,
called, sort of thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
even
yeah,
know what
yeah.
it was. It was
Yeah,
like, okay, well, just the guy that made up the
yeah.
stuff and put it together. And so he taught some dancers down there, and he called his group Doodat. And Doodat ended up becoming a dance group of like 40 people, this huge group. When he came back to Toronto from Windsor, he was like, Mark, I already know you from high school. I know how you can dance. I want you on this group. You don't have to audition. Just come.
Yeah,
Just be on it. And I was like, yes, of course.
yeah,
Because I love dance too. So we both were like, all right, let's do this. So
yeah.
my first sort of sense of um, being in a
Mhm.
professional sort of atmosphere with other dancers, and we were all just kind of figuring it out,
Yeah.
but in a more structured environment, was being in this group
Mm.
called Doodat, and Luther was our choreographer. And it was also the first sense I got of like what an audition was
Okay, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
how to audition. And Luther would make us learn a piece of choreography, and whoever did it the best or executed it the way he liked it, he would position them in certain places.
Strategically. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
strategically.
yeah.
And so
Yeah,
I never really realized, but that was technically me
yeah,
auditioning
yeah,
to see where I was going to be in the formation of the routine.
yeah.
So that was sort of like my first early years of learning how to
Mm.
audition and how to work in a group,
Yeah.
um, as a dancer. And in terms of like auditions in general, um, because Do That blew up and did so well in
Mhm.
Toronto, we never really had to audition. A lot of managers of artists and artists themselves or directors would just approach us,
Yeah.
directly, and would just say, "Hey, can you dance in this video? Can you da 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 da? Can Luther? Can you choreograph this? I would love, two guys and two girls for my artist. Can you provide that?" And so we never really had to audition. We just got the jobs. So we
Would
were
you say
lucky
that
in that
you
sense.
guys were pioneering sort of that concept?
I
Like the
I would
concept
say,
of being known as a group, and then Luther being known as almost like the choreographer, but also like a manager in a certain way. Because at that time, there wasn't Paris Goebel out in Australia, doing like these.
mm,
There were you. Would you say that you were kind of in the frontier of that, if you will?
y- yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't really realize it, but that
Yeah.
was the early stages of sort of like this leader slash choreographer and his dancers,
Yeah.
and he would delegate, okay, you guys are going to work with this artist, you're going to
Yeah.
work with that artist. And we kind of became like an agency. It
Exactly.
was
Sounds
it
like
was
that.
literally, yeah, it was like a dance. We actually called ourselves at one point Do That Dance Agency because we acted like an agency.
Because you'd break off,
Um,
but then you'd also do group work, and then you'd break off into yeah. That's actually
yeah,
really
yeah.
really cool to hear, and I didn't know that. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Um, how long did you stay with that group for?
Well, it kind of sort of everyone sort of went their own way in about, so we started in 1995,
Yeah,
and which is almost 30 years. Actually, next year will be 30 years.
time freaking
That's crazy. Oh my
flies.
god.
That's
Yeah.
spooky.
That's
Spooky.
nuts. Wow, 30 years. Oh my goodness. Um So yeah, we started in 95, and I would say by like 2010
Yeah,
we started 20 pretty much the end of So You Think You Can Dance Canada.
right.
Um Luther was on So You Think You Can Dance Canada as a judge as well as a choreographer, and then he started to realize, okay, I think this is it for me in terms of Canada. I've
Yeah,
sort of peaked.
yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna move to LA. And so once he finished the show, he went to LA.
yeah.
So I would say around that time, Dudette started to like when Luther left, we were all kind of like, so what do
Yeah.
we do now?
Yeah,
And nobody, like, Luther's shoes were so big to fill that
yeah,
nobody wanted to take on that responsibility. And so we sort of had to find our own path,
yeah. And
So
Mark,
the
at the
group.
time then, were you in parallel working other jobs? Were you doing any sort of other TV film work? Like, was there any, what was your, honestly, what was your income? Like, what were you, yeah, what did that look like?
I was as a dancer,
Yeah.
not as a choreographer. During my time on Dudette, I would say, one of the more active and more, um, I guess, busy sort
Mm-hmm.
of dancers in the
Mm-hmm.
sense
Mm-hmm.
like I was working with a lot of different artists as a dancer. Um, so financially, back then we just didn't get paid a lot. Like for jobs, it was pretty low. Um, I remember getting as low as $75 for like
Yeah.
a show.
Yeah.
It was
It's
it
just
was
bonkers, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, at the time, that was a lot of money to us. We were like, "Oh my gosh, $75 or $100 for this show," and
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was like that was like great for
Yeah.
us, because we did it for so many years as a group for free,
Yeah.
and here we are now getting paid to do like a live show for an artist to perform in this city or
Yeah.
that city, or this music video or whatever.
This
So,
actually could be a good opportunity to for me to chime in again. I want to ask
mhm,
you for dancers that are at that age, um, in today's world,
mhm,
and because there's still like I have my own opinions on it, but there
mhm,
is opportunities that are offered that aren't paid, that are
mhm,
performances that people are asking you to do, whether it be, you as a soloist or you as a part of a group or putting something together, all of this stuff. Um, do you have, based on your personal experience, kind of, yeah, opinions on how slash if a dancer that is up and coming should agree or disagree to take on those opportunities if it's not obviously unionized and there isn't like a set rate or all that stuff, and it is kind of like gray area, not sure if this is a good rate, not, all that stuff. What are
mhm.
your thoughts on it when you're early and just getting started?
Wow. That is a huge question and
Yeah,
such a big topic in the industry
it is.
as a a fresh young dancer starting off. Um so for me, because I came from that era of train, 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 work hard, train, do as many shows as possible to get your face out there and to get, people to recognize and see who you are and see what you do. I come from a background of doing stuff because you love it and because of the artistic reasons for it and creativity. And I didn't focus so much on the financial aspect of it, you know? Now, do I think younger dancers have to do the same? No, I don't think you do have to take that path and like pay your dues, quote
Yeah,
unquote. You do not have to do that. Um, Although
but there
for
was
me,
clearly benefits for you.
yeah, 100%. And that's why I say I would say to a younger dancer, if you feel like this benefits you in some way, shape, or form, and it's not necessarily financial, do it. Do it because It's something for you to add to your resume. It's something for you to gain the experience of knowing how to be on set, be in front of a camera, work with the crew, do a show at a big stadium. Even if you don't get paid, or if you don't get paid what, a dancer should get paid, all of these experiences are going to add to
Yeah. Yeah.
your
Yeah.
value as a dancer. And the more value you add to yourself, and the more people see how good you are, the more you can say, all right, well,
Wean off
I
of
can.
those free gigs. Wean off of those,
Yeah.
yeah, experience based compensation, if you will.
Yeah.
I think you've nailed it, and in my opinion as well. I I think because dance, entertainment, the art form, it's something that it has so many areas to it. There's so many ways of looking at it. There's so many ways of pursuing it, and you can find your own path in the industry. It can get very kind of hard to navigate through, but if you can kind of break it down to the basics, to the fundamentals, like if you were to cross compare it to,
Mhm.
say, you're a co-op student or you're a practicum student doing something, for instance, nursing, like I'm just going to take that. They'll put in the time, the work, to understand the tools, to figure out what the job's like, and they're not getting paid to do that. They're actually paying for it. They're
For it.
paying for it. Do you know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
I like, if you're just able to switch your mindset of it a little bit, and go, I'm going to, for the next 3 years, like, if it's a paid job, that's a bonus. Otherwise, for the next 3 years, I'm gonna almost just switch the mindset to be like, this is my, education, or this is my practicum, whatever it is. At least
Mhm.
to compartmentalize, and like, to make you feel like it is okay, because there's so many, voices and noise out there
Mhm.
that can make you question your decisions. And I
Wow.
think if you can just like understand the reasons why you're deciding to do the things for yourself, then those noise, that those sounds, that they don't bother you as much, because it can be so easy to let those into your world, to your mind, and affect you so negatively. But I think, when you're young, it's like, there's a right turn, there's a left turn, there's up, there's down, there's, my friends are doing that, my mom's telling me to do this, like, all, whatever it is. But if you can just simplify and really clarify why you are doing the things you're doing, then it gets a lot easier, I think. I wish I knew that a little sooner.
Me too. Me too. And it's like, I understand it's for the greater good. You know what I mean? Like, ultimately, I think you should be paid for your talent
Yeah,
regardless. I'm at that point in my life where I don't care if you come into the studio for, like, a vibe session. I'm still already thinking, okay, how much am I going to pay this person to just come and vibe?
totally, totally.
Like, I agree. I think that you should be paid for your services regardless of what you do, you know? But I'm also a believer in doing the work, like doing hard work, and like building up your skills and
Yeah,
building up your value.
100%.
Especially as a young and up and comer,
Yeah,
into the industry.
yeah,
But you're absolutely right. There's just so much noise out there that could kind of shift you off of your path of, just trying to get out there, because everyone is telling you, no, you can't do this because you have to get paid. You have to get paid. And yes, I agree. You should get paid at some point, 100%. But um, I guarantee you that the person that's out there that is networking, which is another really big reason to do these things, probably the biggest.
honestly.
Um, yeah, the person that's out there networking, putting themselves out there, um, offering their services, I guarantee you that that person that is, quote unquote, using them or hiring them, quote unquote, again, um, if they are a good person and a
Yes.
person of value, will get them back in the future and
Yeah,
say, hey, I have a paid gig. I want you to come and do this because you did this for me.
yeah,
Do you
yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh,
So,
totally, totally.
yeah. So,
I've yet to have this conversation with, I guess, and I was excited to kind of have it with you, because I know, you have experience in it, and you've seen the other side of it and the benefits of doing that sort of stuff. So I appreciate having these uncomfortable sort of like, not, it isn't 100% clear. And everyone
Mm.
has their own opinions on it, and so
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Kind of coming into now more of your work, because I want to spend time on how you started to pave a path for yourself in the professional world of dance to stay consistent, to not burn out, to have faith in your abilities and your talent and networking, and connections to honestly build a career in this challenging industry.
Mm.
So coming out of that experience with Luther Brown and that Doodad group, was there like pivotal jobs that you were booking that kind of, looking back, you're like, yeah, that changed the trajectory for me, or that allowed me to really have confidence in myself?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Before I answer that though,
Yeah,
I do want to say one last thing
yeah,
that I think a lot of younger dancers could potentially set themselves up with and have like a base
yeah.
for where they could start to lay a foundation for charging and getting paid for gigs. What, especially non-union stuff, what I do if it's something non-union, I look at Dancers Alliance. I don't
Mm,
know if you're familiar with that, but there's a website called Dancers Alliance, I think .org. I'm not
yeah.
sure. But if you Google Dancers Alliance, you
And I'll
will
put it in the
see,
show notes.
yeah, okay, awesome. You will see kind of a breakdown of what non-union work as a dancer is and how much you should get paid for rehearsal, how much you should get paid for a show, travel days, wardrobe, literally everything um, going into, a
Yes.
job that you get as a non-union dancer. So now the other thing to consider is its American rates. So it's an
Yeah.
American Dancers Alliance is an American uh, kind of run company,
Organization. Yeah,
sort of.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to do the conversion into Canadian, and normally when you do the conversion, it's a lot. It's a lot of money, and it can definitely scare managers and artists away. So I would say if you could find a common
Yeah.
kind of denominator in there for yourself that feels fair and that feels fair to, the management or whoever is hiring you, use that as
That's a
like a
tool.
guideline.
Yeah.
Yeah, use
Yeah.
that as like a guideline. And that can at least it won't put our industry in a backwards motion. You know what
100%.
I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm very, very cognizant of that. I don't want to take steps backwards.
Yeah.
I want to make sure we excel and go forward. So
Yes.
any non-union job, literally any,
Yeah.
I send them this website. I say, hey, this is what non-union dancers should be getting. Da 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 da. Most of the time, they come back saying we can't afford it,
Yeah.
and then I say, okay, well, how can we meet in the
Yeah.
middle? Where can we get to?
Yeah. Yeah.
So hopefully that helps for some younger dancers that
Definitely.
do deserve to get paid, do
Yeah.
deserve to get,
Yeah.
um, fair
Yeah.
compensation for stuff. But again, it all comes down to the choice. It all comes down to what feels good to you. Are you okay doing something for free? Are you okay doing this, this project for this person and
Yeah.
not getting paid? Because you'll see the benefits in it later, whether it be footage or exposure or networking. Um, it's all an individual choice, and I'm happy to say that I lived on both sides of that,
Yeah.
where I did a bunch of gigs for free for a lot of my life was that, and but it helped me build up my value
Yeah.
as an artist, and so now I'm able to charge what I feel like I think I deserve,
Yeah.
so
100%.
yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah,
So
thank you.
yeah,
Thank you for that.
you're welcome. Now back to your question.
Yeah.
um there was a pivotal moment for me. I believe this was in 2015 or 2016. No, that's a lie. This this was like 20, I would say 2013. I would have to really Google it, but let's just say 2013, around there. Um, I did a show. As a matter of fact, it was Canada's Got Talent.
Okay.
So for those that don't know, Canada's Got Talent had one season in 2012. It was in Canada. It was in obviously in Canada, Mark. But we we did that. There was a production which was the first ever Canada's Got Talent show. It happened. It was shot here in Toronto, and it was kind of like this trial run of America's Got Talent,
Right.
but here in Canada. The season was terrible. It was horrible. The production just wasn't good. I don't know. It just looked cheap. It looked cheesy. The talent wasn't that strong.
Yeah.
It literally lasted one season and they took it off the air quickly. Now, during that season, um, a guy named Paul Becker was the choreographer of this show.
Okay.
His assistant was Louise Radsky. She was Paul's assistant. Now, I don't know how this happened, but I think they heard it from the grapevine that I was part of this group called Do That. And Luther was the choreographer. Luther's name was already pretty established
Circulating.
from,
Yeah.
yeah, from So You Think You Can Dance, yada, yada, yada. So there was a number in Canada's Got Talent where they needed four male dancers. So I got a random email from this girl named Louise saying, "Hey, we would like to hire you for Canada's Got Talent, da 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 da. These are the dates, blah 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 blah. Are you available?" And I said, "Yes, yeah, I'm sure. Like, sure, I'm available. I'm down." So fast forward, I go to rehearsal. I meet Paul. I meet Louise. Um, and we start working out this number for the show. And there's a section in there that Paul didn't really feel comfortable doing hip hop wise. So he was like, "Can you guys figure out like just like two counts of eight here of stuff that we could just kind of play with um, for this number?" And at the time, I was teaching a lot in Toronto. I was, teaching at a studio called OIP. So
Okay.
everyone kind of, out of the four dancers, the three looked at me and was like, "Okay, well, Mark will do it because he's been teaching a lot." So, and because I knew that, I purposely didn't want to do that because I
Right.
didn't want people to think I was taking over.
Right.
And so I just said, "Well, let's just all kind of
Collab.
collaborate on it,
Yeah.
sort of." So one of the guys took the initiative and kind of made up the two counts of eight. So he made it up, and I shut my mouth because
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want everyone to just think I'm going to do it. I want other people to have
Yeah.
their shot. So he made it up. It worked fine, I thought at least.
Yeah.
And then Paul comes back in the room and he says, "Okay, let me see what you guys did." We do it. He's like, "Okay, all right." And he didn't sound impressed, to
He
be
wasn't
honest with you. He
sold.
didn't sound,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
he wasn't sold. He didn't sound satisfied. And so he was like, okay, well, what else can we do?" And then I said, "Well, I have a suggestion." And I just kind of put up my hand and I said, "We could do da 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 da
Yeah.
da."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I did it. And he was like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I love that. I think that's great. Let's do it." So I'm in my head, I'm like, "Oh God, here we go." So here I'm teaching the guys when I said I wasn't going to do it, but
Exactly what I didn't want to have happen is happening. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to be a helpful person in
Yeah.
the room. That was really it. And so I'm teaching the guys, they learn it, they feel fine with it. No one felt offended,
No.
at least to my knowledge, they didn't. And we go up there and we do the show. We do
Yeah.
it, we perform it, and it was great. And the show happened and it's done. That was it. Everyone
Yeah.
goes back to their normal lives. Here's where things change. I would say maybe like, I don't know, 6 months later, just,
Out of the blue.
completely out of, yeah, off the radar for me, wasn't thinking about anything like this. Out of the blue, I get a call from Paul. Paul says, "Hey, Mark, what are you up to?" I'm like, "Nothing." He's like, "I'm coming to Toronto and I'm doing this NBC movie called Isabella steals the spotlight or something like that. I can't
Yeah.
remember. It was like it's a big franchise um, called Isabella. And he's like, "Would you be interested in choreographing the movie with me?" And I was like, yeah, sure." So it ended up being myself, Louise, and Paul. They came to Toronto. We had like a bunch of rehearsals, like weeks of rehearsals. There's a whole thing.
Jeez.
And this was my kind of like my first time being introduced into the TV and film
Yeah.
world by Paul as a choreographer. So now I'm not dancing, as a
Right.
choreographer.
Right.
And that for me was a very pivotal point because it took me out of sort of the dancer role, I
Right.
should say, and into more of a creative, artistic choreography role. And I was teaching these kids steps, and I was teaching them formations and
Yeah.
teaching them how the scene was going to go and where we had to travel and all this sort of stuff. And that for me, after we had finished that gig,
Yeah.
that movie, that kind of started this working relationship between myself and Paul.
Yeah.
And we had such a great time working together, and he trusted what I did, that he just kept calling me back for stuff. And so that turned my life from being a dancer to more of a
Yeah.
choreographer and working in the TV and
Yeah.
film world.
Yeah. That is
Yeah.
so neat. That is so neat that you've been able to connect dots to like really see what parts, what jobs, what chapters in your life were those pivotal moments.
Mm.
That's a really I really think that that's something to say about the networking that we mentioned before, and being like just a genuine good human in the room, and you never know where that goes. Um
Amen.
yes, yeah, so that's sweet. I like that. So getting into now sort of current work, because I'm aware of time, and I want to chat a little bit about your honestly I want to open it up to you, but like some of the things you're working on right now, because they're so exciting. And I know you wrap some things up. You're also starting some things. So yeah, just like a few, handful of items.
Sure, sure. So in November, I choreographed a show for my dear friend Sean Desmond. For those that don't know, Sean Desmond is a Canadian pop legend. He's an icon. Before there was Justin Bieber, there was Sean Desmond.
Literally.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and I had danced for him for his whole life, really for our lives. And I was one of his main dancers. Um, Luther Brown was his choreographer and still is technically. And Luther is in LA right now, and he's like, "Hey, Mark, I can't do this. Can you do it?" And so I was like, "Yeah, of course." So it was a full circle moment for me. I danced with Sean all my life, and now Luther is saying, "Here, I'm giving you the chance to choreograph and take full control, creative control of his show. So
Jeez.
good luck. Have a great
Woo!
time." Yeah, which was amazing, and Sean was very open to it. And so that was such a great moment
Yeah.
that happened this year.
Yeah.
Um,
Congratulations. That is honestly
Thank you.
unreal. Unreal. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it kind of made sense.
Yeah.
It was like I knew all of his old work. I mean, it took me a while to remember all like the old stuff that we
Brush
did.
up.
I had to
Yeah. Yeah.
really
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
go in the archives and relearn, and it felt really weird to relearn all this old choreography that he did. But nevertheless, it was such
Yeah.
an honor to do that for him and for Luther.
Yeah.
Um, what else? There's an artist named Akila.
Okay.
She is an R&B singer who is blowing up, like massive. She's signed to Sony Music Canada, and she's opening for this
Well, good for
big
her.
R&B. Yeah, she's opening for this big R&B artist. His name is Pink Sweats. Um, those that know R&B music will know who this guy is. He's written for a bunch of different artists too. He's an incredible writer, and she is wrapping up her debut album, and we just shot this They're called visualizers.
Okay.
So it's not like a full music video, but it's kind of like a mini music video, with scenes that get looped over
Right,
and
right,
over
right, right,
again.
right, right.
Almost,
I feel
yeah,
like on
almost like,
Spotify you see that, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, almost like on Spotify when you look and you see the video of the artist playing in the background and it loops.
Yeah.
So something like that, but in more of a more music video form, like
Yeah,
longer.
neat. Okay, cool.
Yeah, they call them visualizers. So it's just to help promote the album.
Cool.
She's absolute sweetheart, the most bubbliest, friendliest.
Nice.
Oh my good. I wish her so like the best of luck. And she's just a gem, just a beautiful human being, such an angel. So I finished that,
Yeah.
and I just actually got back from LA,
Okay.
and I was working with Luther there. Luther is the creative director for Mary J. Blige's tour,
Hey.
which is massive. It is literally the top of his bucket list, like absolute top. And he's worked with Janet Jackson and blah blah blah, and those are major for him
Yeah.
too. We had a conversation about this while
Yeah.
I was in LA. Like
Yeah.
we were just like, how is this possible?
Yeah.
How is this happening?
Yeah.
Um, and he trips out over it. I trip out over it. But this is like his number one top, like dream artist to work with. And um, what some people might not know is I also edit music.
Yeah.
So I edit, and I would say I produce a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Um, Luther knows that about me because of our time working with Dudette. I would do
Okay.
all of Dudette's mixes, or at least most of them, and I would do anything that he needed me to do musically. He would come to me,
Mm. Mm.
and so here we are. He gets this job for Mary J. Blige, creative director. They have a musical director already, like she
Yeah.
has a musical director, but Luther likes to have things a certain way and for it to transition a certain way and have dance breaks sound a certain way. And he's like, there's only one person that gets me and that can knows how to
Hey.
do it. So he flew me down to LA. We worked on some music for Mary, which was
That's
incredible.
so cool.
Yeah, so
So
hopefully,
cool.
yeah, like it was so trippy to hear these like massive Mary J. Blige hit
Tracks. Yeah,
songs,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm the one mixing them, and we have to
You
present
like go
it
to
to,
start, you're like, "Ooh."
yeah, like we kept jamming to the music. We did. It took us forever to like settle down and like just like, all right, so what are we gonna do for this
Yeah,
part?
yeah, 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 yeah.
So
That's awesome. That's
yeah,
wicked.
it's really
Um,
really cool.
Coming
Hmm.
into this next year, what are your sort of optimisms and I look forward to's sort of thing? Because I think it's exciting. We're starting fresh. 2025 is up ahead. So, yeah, what are you looking forward to the most?
Two things.
Yeah.
I would say Descendants 5.
Mm.
Descendants 5. I was part of Descendants 1, but Descendants 5 is now shooting in Vancouver. Um, I believe it starts filming at the end of January. Let's say February then, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, and I would love to be a part of that in
Yeah.
some way, shape, or form, whether it's dance, choreograph,
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever I could. I love the franchise. And I think that's a really good thing for Vancouver and for the Vancouver dance scene. So I'm really happy for the dancers out there, and I hope they all get to experience it.
Yeah.
And then what's happening here in Toronto is the Jonas Brothers movie. They're doing
Oh,
a
no
holiday
kidding. I didn't
movie
know
here.
that.
Yeah, they're doing a holiday movie here. Jamal Sims is the choreographer. He choreographed Descendants 2 and 3, and he did Aladdin and all these massive films. So one of my friends is the assistant choreographer
Okay.
on that. So hopefully I could be a part of that in some way, shape, or
Yeah.
form as well. Um, but either way, I think having something at the beginning of the year
Yeah.
in Vancouver and something at the beginning of the year in Toronto is a great sign for our TV and film industry. And so um, I hope it just continues to grow and get better because we had such a crappy 2 or 3 years with the writer's strike, there was absolutely nothing going on. So I really
Dry as
hope.
the Sahara frickin'
Oh,
desert.
yeah, we had negative work. We had like we had to look back at work like, oh yeah, remember we did that? We had negative work. So the fact that we are starting off this year in
Yeah, yeah,
both cities with incredible projects,
yeah,
I wish everybody good luck. I wish everyone to, have an amazing experience on these big projects. And yeah, I mean, I hope to be a part of them as well. But if I
yeah,
don't, I'm optimistic
yeah.
and hopeful that there'll be more things coming down the pipes for
Starting with a
dancers.
bang. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Surely,
yeah.
surely there's more to come. So,
Hmm.
I agree with you, and I think that that is super exciting. Like it honestly, my grinning cheek to cheek. So, I always kind of wrap up episodes with some fire round sort of random questions here and there.
All right,
If
fire away.
Yeah, they're honestly off topic, like easy. So
Yeah.
if you had to choose, just say the one thing that comes to mind first.
Okay.
So here we go. Ocean or space if you could choose to explore either.
Ocean.
Ocean. Okay.
Yeah.
Thriller or comedy in movies.
I'm a comedian, comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good,
yeah.
good, good. In terms of food, sweet or savory?
Woo! Savory. Ugh. I had to think about that. I initially was gonna say sweet, but then I think the savory just lasts a little bit longer
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm gonna go with savory. The
That's fair.
younger Mark probably would have jumped right at sweet though.
To
The
the
younger Mark
sweets?
would have,
Fair
yeah,
enough.
like the younger version of me would have been like sweet for sure.
Period.
Yeah.
That's funny because I now like this kind of sparked craft piece in my head, and I'm going like when you're craving something, you're like, do you do the sweet or do you do the savory option there? Anyways,
Yeah.
sunset or sunrise?
Sunset.
Night, night. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm a
Um,
sunset guy.
if you could do anything outside of the entertainment industry, what would be the role that you would like to work?
Wow. Um, I would say working with animals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, what's strange, what's really strange though, is I don't have a pet. Like I technically don't.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't have a pet, but I have been around some beautiful and just loving dogs that just like change my whole perception
Yeah.
of animals and just like watching animals online, and I'm such a like animal lover in that sense. I would love to at some point um work with animals in some
Yeah.
way. I think it would feed my soul a
Yeah.
lot. I
Yeah.
really do. I think we have some kind of bond with them, and
You're so right.
we do. Well, if
Yeah.
you think about it,
Yeah.
and I feel like a lot of people forget this, that you know that we share this earth with them. We share it. You know what I mean? We share it with them. We don't own it. We share it with them. And so I would love to build a bond and a trust and just that relationship with any kind of animal. So
Jeez. That is so cool. That is such a neat
yeah.
perspective. And
Hmm.
you're so
What
right
about you?
saying that.
What about
I
you?
I actually I never thought that I would really pursue it in the way that I have in the last couple years. But growing up, I
Mhm.
was an absolute serial like inventor, creator of gadget, like random would come up with business concepts and subscription models and like I was just so I didn't even know what it was though. Like I really didn't know what it was.
Mhm.
I know my dad was an inspiration for that. Like he always he always had a rule. It was like he would never do one thing for more than 5 years just because he liked to like challenge himself in new ways and figure out,
Yeah.
um and so I coming out of high school went into I was obsessed with history. So I went to the U of A and studied history and then it clicked. I was like, no, I think I need to pursue business. There's something in me that's like I'm just obsessed with how businesses and organizations work, but in a way that I see companies and the power that they have to change the world, the people give a better opportunity, and so I, in the last couple years, have really honed in on the study of business and operating different types of businesses. And so I started Lash Shot Apparel, which is my baby. Like it really is my baby. We are designing and manufacturing clothing lines for companies all over Canada. And so it's
What?
been, yeah, it's been something that I started in the basement, 17 years old. I was doing my own sewing and selling at, markets here and there, because as a dancer, it's like, how am I going to make money when jobs aren't always there? And that's how I
Mhm.
did. And now, it is, it's probably exactly what I would do outside of the entertainment industry is be an entrepreneur. And I know, and I think that
Mhm.
dancers are entrepreneurial, so it is a bit of a stretch to say that's outside of the entertainment world. But yeah, I'm upset. Like business consulting, maybe, because
Yeah.
I think that we truly don't understand the the positives that businesses have on the world. Yeah, we can
Mhm.
so easily say that they take a lot of money. They like
Mhm.
but I think that we forget about the job opportunities, the innovation and design, the research and development, and the power that they can have on bringing on doing
Yeah.
good to the world. And so that's probably, yeah, to answer that question.
So this clothing company, that's first of all, that's incredible.
Yeah,
That
thank
I
you.
had no idea that you had this side about you. Like you've kept that a secret for, or maybe I've just been
No,
like hiding under a rock. But
I don't. It's like it's a just a d it's like I look at myself in 2 different ways, which I think as
wow.
I age, I will morph that a little bit better, because I don't think I should, like, sort of shy away or, like, switch on, switch off as much as I do. But I think because
Mhm.
you get nervous about pigeonholes, or, like, you get nervous
Mm.
about, yeah, calling yourself something because you think that that's, like, the one thing
Well,
you're gonna be, but it's
yeah,
not the case. You can do
but
so much in this time frame you have on the planet.
you can, and like m- even me editing music and working with music, look what it led me to.
Yeah.
Now I got to work with Mary J. Blige and Luther.
Yeah.
So if that's any,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of like sign,
Yeah.
you should think about really diving into this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. So
um,
that's kind of in parallel, because right, because like you said, you never
mhm.
lose that 12-year-old, 13-year-old feeling that you got the first
Yeah,
time you finished a performance. It's like that's in you for the rest of your life.
for the rest of your life.
So yeah,
That
yeah.
that's incredible.
Um,
That's so cool.
yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, last but not least, is there, and if it puts you on the spot and you don't really think of anything, that's totally fine, but is there words that you live by, or a quote that you sort of would tattoo on your frickin' forehead if you could, sort of thing? Like, is there something
Yes.
that, yeah.
Yes, I do have a quote um, that I love. It's actually three. It's from a guy named Andre de Shields. He is an actor, like a theater genius god, and these are his three rules of longevity and sustainability and success. Um, and this was part of his like acceptance speech for a Tony Award, and I'm going to name them. I'm going to say them too. So these
Okay.
are the three cardinal rules um, of longevity and success. So the first one is surround yourself with people whose eyes light up when they see you coming.
Mm, mm,
Surround yourself with people whose eyes light up when they see you coming.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Number two, slowly is the fastest way to get to where you want to be. Yep. Slowly is the fastest way to get to where you want to be. And the third one, the top of one mountain is the bottom of the next.
Yeah.
So keep climbing.
Ooh. Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. Yeah.
top of one mountain is the bottom of the next. So keep climbing. Those three things to me are incredible.
It makes you think, doesn't it, right? It makes
It
you think.
does. It really does, because you do want to surround yourself with people whose eyes light up when they see you coming. That's who you want around you for the rest of your
Yes.
life. You want people that get excited when they see you,
Yeah.
you know? And then we're always in a rush to get things done.
Oh, yes.
Like gotta get this finished, gotta get that finished, and but slowly, take your time. Slowly is the fastest way to get to where you want to be.
Like we
Just take
said,
a
the
breath, take
noise,
a
right? The noise, the
yeah.
noise, the noise, the noise.
Mm-hmm.
Breathe,
Yep.
breathe.
Yeah.
You've got time. You've got time.
You could,
Yeah.
yeah, you've got time, and even if your mind thinks you don't, like, just taking a breath and doing things right
Yeah.
the first time, you
Yes.
don't have to keep going over it, you know? And then the top of one mountain is the bottom of the next. So you might reach these great goals, but there's other things, you finished it, now you got to move on to the
Yeah.
next mountain and just
Yeah.
keep going and keep going, grabbing for bigger things and
Yeah.
grabbing for higher goals. So,
Things that
um,
challenge you, things that make you feel things that you haven't yet felt, things that keep you like freaking ripping the sheets off in the morning and like ready for you to like attack the day. Like, and sure, that's not going to happen Monday to Sunday, 365 days a year, but
mhm,
if you can just, for the majority, for the bulk of the days, find that, you know,
mhm.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Those are sweet. And I'm like very much now going to reflect on on those myself and how they apply to me, especially with
Mhm.
decisions moving forward as well.
Yeah, yeah. They're great. They're great words to live by,
Yeah, I
you know?
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Right. So for listeners to sort of connect with you, to follow your journey, all of that stuff, how can they reach you? How can they follow you? Social media, all that stuff.
Yeah. So on social media, on Instagram, my name
Mhm.
is Mark Samuels Official. So
Okay.
feel free to add if you like. And you can see most of my journey daily, if
Nice.
not, well, I try not to post all the time,
Yeah,
just because I need that mental space away from
for sure.
Instagram. But if you kind of want to see a more
Yeah,
real-time update,
yeah,
that would be the place.
yeah,
Um, and then IMDb,
yeah.
you can
Yeah.
type in my
And
name
I'll add
there.
this stuff to the show notes. So
Mhm.
listeners, like, feel free to just scroll down and see the tags that I have up there. But Mark, honestly, you inspire me and you inspire so many in this industry.
Gibby,
Yeah, yeah. So
thank you
thank you
so
for being
much.
like just the freaking bright light that you are. Continue doing what you're doing. And I honestly am stoked to see what 2025 brings to you. So I hope that we get to work again together in the near future because it's
Hmm.
always a gift and a blessing when I do get the chance to be in the same room as you. So yeah, lots of love and nothing but health and laughter, more laughter in 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, thank you for doing this. Congratulations on this podcast. I
Thank
saw
you.
some of the other ones with Melina and
Yeah,
Louise, and you got some pretty big names in there. So I'm really proud of you. This is
thank
incredible
you.
that you are getting the word out to whoever needs to hear it. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Whether you're young, old, doesn't
yeah.
matter. Just in this arts and entertainment industry,
Mhm.
the fact that you are providing a voice and providing these stories and background and knowledge and all of these gems that people can walk away with and learn from,
Mm.
um, we don't have enough of it,
Yeah,
you know? So this is an incredible thing you're doing, and I feel so grateful and so humbled to be on it. So thank you so
yeah,
much for asking me.
yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. This is like, these are things, it's like we have these stories and we have all of this like information and knowledge that we want to share with
Mhm.
others. And if we don't say it, then it kind of dies with
It
us.
does. It
You know what I mean?
100%. And it doesn't
Yeah.
need to, it shouldn't. And there's such profound, valuable lessons in stories. The more that we can hear them, the more impactful and powerful they are to human beings. And I think that people shy away from sharing their stories. So thank you for sharing yours today.
You're welcome. And to whoever's listening to this, thank you for listening. I really appreciate you taking the time out to listen to these words, and I hope you walk away with something that, ultimately, whether it's something dance related or not, just for you to walk away being a better human being.
Yeah.
That's really what I want.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ah, Mark, you're such a gift. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you
Thank you.
so much,
Have a
Gibby.
wonderful Christmas
You too.
and
Merry
happy
Christmas,
holidays.
Happy New Year's, Happy
Yeah.
holidays, all the things.
Okay,
Yes.
cheers.
Thank you,
Take care of
sir.
yourself.
You too.
Okay,
Thank
bye
you.
bye.
Bye.
That is a wrap on the 2024 Briggs and Co. Leave-In Average for Joe podcast episodes. I can't even believe I'm saying that. It's truly been an honor to sit down with a plethora of individuals that I look up to, and I hope that you have pulled some inspiration, gained some insights, and are excited to see what's in store for 2025. I wish you nothing but love, good health, and laughter. Enjoy the holiday season with your loved ones. Make the memories because time frickin' flies. All right, y'all, take care of yourselves. Until next time.